Hi, welcome to Developer Day 2021. My name is Uchibeke, and I'm the Director of Developer Relations at Coil. I'm really excited to join you today to discuss inclusive digital identity and web monetization for earning online. As part of this discussion, we're going to be talking about two standards, the Web Monetization Standard and the Verifiable Credential Standards. So these standards allow people to uh, display how they earn online and also control their identities online. Before we go, or before we get started, let's imagine for a second. Imagine having to get a new credit card for every new store you wanted to buy from. That would be pretty tedious, right? But in the 1950s, this was actually the case, whereby if you wanted to buy from a store, you had to either pay cash, pay by check, and sometimes your check is rejected because you're not popular or they didn't really know you. And the third option is to get a store credit. And with this store credit, when you got the store credit card, it's not transferable across multiple stores. And also, there's really no history that you get as a result of this credit. And today in the identity world is the same, right? So you have to get an account for each service provider you wanted to use online. So let's say you're signing up for a healthcare service provider, or even something as simple as a social profile. You have to create a new account. You can't just port your identity information or your login information from one platform to another. And also, your history is not really transferable or shareable. So that means that you don't really enjoy the perks that something like a credit card gives you, right? This should change. And some platforms already allow us to kind of share our social profiles and login, but that kind of comes with an additional problem called the NASCAR problem. So this is when a jumble of icons on a user interface make it super difficult for users. It's distracting, it's overwhelming, and it's challenging for people to follow along. And this could be like third-party sign-on and login icons. I'm sure lots of us are familiar with this screenshot. So this is an example of the NASCAR problem, and I believe that verifiable credentials really has the potential to make the user experience of digital ID and things like that better. I know you might be wondering what are verifiable credentials. Before we answer that, let's do a little experiment. So if you have your ID, please pull it out. It could be your driver's license, your passport, or a different identity information. Notice that in that ID information, you have information about the subject of that ID. The subject is you, the owner of that ID, right? And then you also notice that you also have information about the issuer of that ID. So that could be a federal government or a national government or a country. It could be a state, a province, or it could even be a university or things like that, right? So we've talked about the subject, the issuer, and also the claim. So the claim are what the ID is all about. So claim about your qualification with regards to driving, your citizenship, and things like that. So those are the claims of the ID. So just like in physical ID, digital IDs, verifiable credentials also have similar properties. So there's information about the subject, the claim, and also the issuer. And this definition of verifiable credential that you see on the screen is from the W3C website. So it says that verifiable credential is temper evident and it can be cryptographically verified. Also, with verifiable credentials, we can generate and share verifiable presentations. And also, these presentations can also be cryptographically verified. And they contain claims about a subject. So just like in physical ID, the verifiable credentials also has claims, which could be that you're able to drive or you're from a particular country about the subject. In this case, it could be you that is the subject, right? So we've talked about verifiable credentials being temper evident. They can be cryptographically verified. They can be used to generate verifiable presentations, and also these presentations can be cryptographically verified also. So some keywords that we should keep in mind when thinking about verifiable credentials are issuer, wallet, and verifier. So these are the three components that make up verifiable credentials, right? So the issuer is like a national government, a university, or similar entities that issue you the ID. And then the wallet is controlled fully by a user. So the user has the ability to control who they share their information with. And this is really the beauty of what verifiable credentials allow. And just like we saw with just like we talked about before, that we're not able to kind of share our information currently. With verifiable credential, we'll be able to like share information about our digital identity. It could be sign-in information. It could be things that are different, like credentials about my education, credentials about my nationality, and things like that. And these credentials are shared from a user's wallet to a verifier. So think about a verifier like a platform that allows you to apply for a service. So let's say you wanted to apply for a home loan. Instead of having to submit like multiple forms and things like that, on the website you could say share your ID. The website could offer that feature. And then you pull your information from your verifiable credentials from your wallet and then share it with this entity. And then they'll be able to cryptographically verify this identity about you. And it's faster, it's more seamless to do it that way. So we've talked about like our online self, who we are, and we've come to see that with verifiable credentials, it gives the user the power to control their information, right? And next, we're going to talk about how people that control their information online are able to also earn from the content that they create. So once they've been able to establish a kind of self-sovereign identity, how do they also start earning online? So let's look at the current status quo versus the future. So currently, when we want to earn online, we have to go through centralized platforms, and sometimes they're exclusionary because these platforms set the rules. They determine like the number of users and things like that you have to have before you can start earning content, and also payment is delayed. On the other hand, what we want is really a fair, transparent, and open system that allows us to earn as soon as we post online, as soon as we create content that is valuable. So the earnings that we earn should be driven by the value we offer, despite if we're new or if we're just starting out. And also, it should be real time, it should be trackable, and there should be an option for us to receive micropayments, right? So it shouldn't be controlled by just a few entities, it should be open. And what we want is already here. It's not just a wish that is too far-fetched to accomplish. We already have it today, and some content creators and also developers that put out videos and also tutorials are already earning from their online content. And they are doing so with web monetization. So we mentioned web monetization before, but just to explain it again, web monetization is actually a JavaScript browser API that allows the creation of payment stream from the user agents to the website. I know that's a mouthful, so let's break it down. So web monetization allows the viewer of a website to pay the creator of the content in real time. So how it all works is that the JavaScript API on the browser and also a subscription by the user that is viewing the content makes it possible for payments to be sent depending on the amount of time that the user spends on that website. So it could be that they are viewing a blog post, a video tutorial, or even looking at images. So imagine something like Unsplash that is currently free now. If they add web monetization to Unsplash, they'll be able to enable their users to add a payment pointer. We're going to talk about what payment pointer is in a bit, but they will allow their users to add a payment pointer that allows those users that are posting those open source photos to start earning in real time when users search for or view their photos. So I think that's powerful to also like empower those that are creating those photos. And this could be applied in a lot of different use cases and scenarios. And for content creators or for developers of platforms, as a developer, all you need to do to enable web monetization is add a single line of code. And I think that's really beautiful. So you don't have to make any changes to your architecture or change how your app is structured, right? So as far as it's a web app and you have access to add a new item or a new meta to the head of your website, then you can definitely enable web monetization. I think that's super cool. I'm gonna share how to do that in a moment. So all you need to do is you first get a wallet from a wallet provider, and from that wallet provider you get a payment pointer, which is this item here that you add in the content of the meta tag. And once you get that payment pointer, think about that payment pointer as an email address, right? So in an email address, you can receive data packets, and these data packets could be text content, video content, audio content, or any kind of content. All that matters is that the email service or the email protocol allows you to send and receive data packets, right? It's the same with Interledger and also the payment pointer. With a payment pointer, you can receive payment packets. It doesn't matter if you are receiving Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies or even normal fiat currencies like USD, right? It's independent of what currency that you want to receive. So that's kind of the beauty of payment pointers. So it doesn't lock you to any platform. It doesn't even depend on any blockchain, right? So it's independent of any blockchain and any currency. So it's like open that way. And then once you have your payment pointer, you then add the meta tag that we discussed before. And that's it. You have web monetization enabled. And that enables you to start earning online, right? And this is how to get the payment pointer. So you can get it from two platforms currently, GitHub and Uphold. So there are going to be more platforms that come up in the next few months. And I know you might be asking yourself, who is currently web monetized? So which platforms today can I get web monetization? Or which platforms today has enabled web monetization? So today, FreeCodeCamp, HackerNoon, Default, Creative Commons, and thousands of other platforms are already web monetized. If you're interested in seeing the full list, please check out the Who is Web Monetized session on developers.coil.com. So now, onto the fun part, a live demo. So let's hope that the demo gods help us to complete this demo. So I'm going to switch back here to this tab. So this is just a blank web page. And what we want to create is a platform or a web app that allows people or users to upload blog content, right? So when they upload this blog content, they will start getting paid when someone reads their blog posts. So imagine that you already have a database of users. Those users have a profile on your platform, and then you add a new field. The new field is for the user's payment pointer. Think about it like an email, like I said before, right? And then they post a new post here. Let's see how that looks when they actually post a new post. So the first thing is we set up a basic HTML page. We already did that. I'm using Nest.js. Next, we add the meta tag. But even before we do that, let's enable and display the content from all the users. So on here, I kind of already have set up just a database. Think about it like a database, but it's just a JSON file at the moment, right? And these are JSON files of user articles. So we have the number, the title of the article, the body of the article, and then the payment pointer tied to the author of the article, right? So now we're going to try to display all of those blog posts on the screen. So what I want to do is go there, I'm just going to comment that, and we're just looping through all of those articles and then displaying this with this component. So we're displaying this component and passing the article details to that component. So if I refresh my screen, you should see this update, right? So we have all of those articles showing on the screen right now by different authors. So next, we want to add web monetization. The first thing we want to do is to add web monetization for the entire platform so that as a developer, you can also earn some micropayments when users are just like scrolling through the landing page of your platform, or like looking at the general section of your platform. So let's see how to add a payment pointer. To do that, I'm going to go through the home of this, and I already have like the use effect hook. It's a React specific stuff, so I'm going to paste that code there. And we have the parent payment pointer. This is a payment pointer of the developer. So if you're a developer, you have a payment pointer already, right? And you still want to earn, despite the fact that you're enabling other users to earn from your content. So we create a meta tag, HTML meta tag this way, and then we set the content of the meta tag to the payment pointer. So let's refresh the page, and then we are going to inspect and try to find if we actually see the monetization meta there. So I'm going to search for that. So I'm going to search for that and refresh. Okay, so if I search for the monetization meta, so we have it there, right? So we have this monetization meta tag already there that I added just now. And that's the only meta tag that we have. And that's because we're looking at the base of the app, right? So let's see what happens if we click on this. Right, so if we click on that to view the content, we should be paying the user that created this content. And let's see how that works. So we're going to switch to the details page here. And I already implemented some functions that makes this possible. So going back to the use effect hook, this is called when this page first loads, right? So first we find the article that corresponds to the query, this query here, like this ID there. So we find the article, and then once we do that, we set the article. So we set what is displayed here. And then next thing is I want to set the payment pointer. And how we're doing that is that we're calling this set payment pointer function, and then we try to find if a payment pointer already exists in the head session. If it does, then we replace it with the payment pointer of the current article. If it doesn't exist, then we just add the payment pointer of the current article. So that's what we're doing here. And notice that that's actually what happens, right? So if I switch back there, it goes, this payment pointer takes precedence, right? But if I switch back here, then this other one takes precedence. So that's what we're doing. There's a bug here that is adding like multiple payment pointers. But what we want to do is that when we switch to a particular article, right, we set the payment pointer of this article of the screen to just the payment pointer of this article. And when we switch back home, what we should do is to add the home payment pointer. But in this case, we're adding multiple, which shouldn't be the case. Apologies for that. So that's it for the demo. I'm going to switch back now to the slides, and then we'll see what else we can do with web monetization. So far, we've seen a use case where, as a developer, you want to build a platform that allows your users to start earning in real time. And what we did was that we added a new field to a database, or what you would do is add a new field to the user database that allows them to set their payment pointer, and then tie that payment pointer to the article or the content that they create. Remember that this doesn't have to be like a blog post. It could be a video. When someone is watching that video, the user that posted that video should be getting paid. It could be that you're creating like a platform that allows people to post like 5 to 10 seconds or 30 seconds videos, because like for the Gen Z, for Gen Z, watching videos like it's a better way to learn, I believe, right? So if you're building something similar to that, then you could use web monetization to incentivize or provide incentives to the creators of those videos to earn some funds, right? So that's just one use case. Let's look at other use cases. So one other use case that we can try to build is to unlock new features in an app for monetized users. So imagine that you're building something like a video or a live call app, a web-based live call app that allows people to join video calls, right? So what you could do is you have the free trial version, but you also have a version that pays or unlocks new features for web monetized users, right? So if users are web monetized and are using this live call app, then they should maybe get additional users. There's actually a platform that does this. They are called room.sh. So check it out. They are a web monetized live video platform. And then also you could imagine that you want to add some gamification to your app, right? So if a user is web monetized, you maybe unlock and activate some new perks. And we talked about the third item already, which is like revenue sharing when you have multiple contributors. And yeah, and for mobile, you could check out something called Puma Browser. Puma Browser is the first web web monetized mobile browser, and there are a lot of like new use cases that you can unlock as a developer using the Puma ecosystem. So what if you want more resources about web monetization? If you want to learn about web monetization, if you want to get started with web monetization, definitely check out developers.coil.com or webmonetization.org. So webmonetization.org contains the spec of web monetization, which is continuously evolving. And then there's a repo called Awesome Web Monetization. There you're going to see lots and lots of examples, use cases, libraries, and things like that related to web monetization. So that's it for today. Thanks again for joining Developer Day 2021. I'm going to be in the comment section to answer any questions that you have. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you after the conference and answering any questions that you have. Thank you and see you soon.